Hmm. Hi everybody, this is Sonia. I'm doing a video today on manifesting. One of the strongest ways that I have learned how to manifest is realizing just what it means to say we create our realities. I create my own reality. Everybody creates their own reality. And I had been saying that for a couple of years until I really understood exactly what it meant. I thought it meant that it was how you responded to something. If something happened to you, it was more how you responded to it was how you created that experience. Well, yes, that's part of it, but the big picture is you also created what happened to you. You go out and you are in a car accident and it's totally the other person's fault. Oh, you created that. And you think, no, the other person caused that. Oh, but either you create your reality or you don't. We create everything that comes into our lives. And it took me a while to totally grasp and understand how that happens. But we do. There's a couple things that I believe. Soul contracts. We have a soul contract with somebody I have a car accident with. We agreed to that. We created that. But also it's our vibration and our frequency and how we feel about ourselves. People, places, and things in our lives are just following the script. This is our movie. We are in a simulation. A movie, a simulation, whatever you want to call it. And it's interactive. We interact with it. And what we think about ourselves is what is reflected back to us. People and places and things are just a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And once I understood that and I took responsibility for what was happening in my life, that's when the power, that's the power. That's when you really control, when you really create your reality. And it took me a while to understand that, to get that. If someone is disrespecting you in your reality, that's just a reflection of how you feel about yourself. Where are you disrespecting yourself? They're just a reflection. And there is a difference between mirroring. Everything's a reflection, but if it's a trigger, that was another thing that took me a little while to understand. If something does happen in my reality, somebody says something to me and it triggers me, well, that's something that's inside of me that I need to work on. That's a shadow I need to work on in myself. But if use everything as a check-in point. And somebody says something to you and it does not resonate with you and it doesn't trigger you, well, then you can just let that go. But if it triggers you, then you need to take a look at that. But I've become an observer, and that's another way too to really create your reality, is to back up and be an observer of your reality. Just observe everything. And I try different things. I'll try different things and see what works. And this is an interactive simulation that we're in. And once you learn how to interact with it, you can really manipulate and control who and what comes into your life. And I have to give you an example that's relevant to me. First, I started taking responsibility for my happiness, my own happiness, about 4 years ago. I used to be the queen of the blame game, and I blamed my ex-husband for absolutely everything. And once I took responsibility for my own happiness, because the only person that can make you happy is that person looking back at you in the mirror. If you look to other people, other things to make you happy, they're going to let you down. The only person that can make you happy is you. And I took responsibility for that. And I left a toxic marriage. And once I started making changes like that, my whole world just changed. I mean, it just, whoa, just amazing things have changed for me, for the better. And one of the things that I did, I remember, and this was after my spiritual awakening that I started doing this, and I remember thinking, or making like an agreement with the universe, that if I leave this toxic marriage, that I will never have to worry about money. And that's what has come into my life. And I'm on Social Security, and I'm on a retirement. And I've done it now for a couple of years, so there's a pattern. There is a pattern here. Every time I take money out of my retirement I bought this home. I chose to put a down payment and to do remodeling. And then I've also gone on some trips. And every time I withdraw money from my retirement, the universe puts it right back in. And I remember the woman who takes care of my retirement account. The first year that happened, she didn't know what to say. I had 34% return. I was her #1 account for how much money it was making percentage-wise. 34%. And she didn't know. I could tell she didn't understand or know why. And I thought, well, I do. So that's one of the ways that I have really shifted things and created things that I wanted. And I like playgrounds. I call it playgrounds and playmates more than I call it money. Think about what you want to do. Don't think about the actual amount of money. Think about what you want to do with it and how it makes you feel. That's true too. How you think is very important, but how you feel is just as important, if not more so. So that was a big one for me. And I look around, and sometimes I'm not sure how I've created all this, but how is not for us to know. It's what you want. And how does it make you feel, though? How does it make you feel? I manifested this beautiful home. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, except I created that. That's how I was able to buy this house. I was in the right place at the right time. It didn't go public, and that's why I was able to get this. And I did it right before, a couple years ago, right before the market went up. Now it's worth about $100,000 more than it was when I bought it almost 2 years ago. So, but here again, it's the gratitude, and it's the knowing, it's the confidence, but it's also doing the shadow work. You may think things, you may consciously feel things, think things now, but you may in an unconscious, still in your unconscious, believing the opposite. See, and that's when people, places, and things come into real importance. They show you where what you still need to work on, even if you don't believe. You know, you believe in abundance, you believe in that you deserve it, but it's not there. Well, that's showing you that you still have things to work on in your unconscious. Do shadow work and look for patterns and programs. This is another big thing I did, is looking for patterns and programs in my life. And usually these programs and patterns come from your childhood, but not always, but usually. and you get the perfect job. You just love this job, but you got the coworker from hell. Okay, what is that coworker? Where is this coworker like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, or your ex-husband, ex-wife? Where is this? Where are you running this program? You try to get to the root. Get to the root of that program, that pattern. And 90% of healing that is just simply awareness and taking responsibility for that. You're the one running the program and the patterns. You know, that might be the employee, the coworker from hell, but you're the one that manifested that coworker from hell. So take responsibility for that coworker and look within to see where do you need to heal in you, that pattern, that program that you're running, that you're attracting that kind of person in your life. I've done amazing work with ending. Oh, good grief. I have no idea how many programs and patterns I have ended in my life. And a good one for me is I was born with a port wine stain on the side of my face, and it's pretty light now, so it doesn't show up very much, and I don't have any makeup on, but it goes all the way over to my hairline, under my eye, my lip, and over. And when I was born, it was blood red. It was blood red. So I grew up being very different, and people reflecting that back to me, that I was very different and that I was wrong. I looked wrong. So I grew up feeling and believing that I looked wrong. And then when I got into high school, I started wearing makeup, but that's still because it was so dark. Almost, it was a blood red, really shocking red. Still, the makeup didn't completely cover it. But as I got older, I went in and I had laser treatments done. So now people don't hardly notice it. Nobody seems to notice it anymore. And I usually don't wear makeup anymore. And it feels good not to do that. But after I had these treatments, I still had people reflecting back to me that I looked wrong. My hair looked wrong. My clothes were wrong. My weight was wrong. Then when I was overweight, my weight was wrong. Then I lost 35 pounds, and then my weight was still wrong. And I'm going, what? And I realized this was a pattern from childhood. It was no longer regarding my birthmark, but it was everything else. And being aware, just being aware of this pattern and making different choices. And also with it, I threw a tantrum. I believe in tantrum energy. And that's when I go in the bathroom and I use the mirror and I look in my eyes and I just let it flow, man. I just let it fly. I just let it all out, let all the anger out. And I did. I threw a tantrum about everybody telling me I look wrong. And the next day, it was gone. This pattern, this program was gone. Since I was aware of this program, this pattern, and I threw that tantrum, that's just one way to end the program, the pattern. And I just released it all the anger, everything. Since that day, not one time since then has anybody told me that I look wrong for any reason. And I'm an avid hiker, and sometimes I go out and I'll hike 7 to 10 miles, and I couldn't look any worse than I do, and I do some videos out there called Hiking with Sonia, and not one person has ever said anything to me that I look wrong. So it was a program, it was a pattern that I ended. And I did that with people disrespecting me too. But I also healed where I had a belief system that I was not worthy of people respecting me. And that also was a pattern in my childhood. Most of our parents try to do their best, but sometimes what we learned was negative thoughts and beliefs about ourselves. And just being aware of where the program started and how it affects you, being aware of it, and then healing that. And healing that within me, I'm trying to think exactly how I did that. I just made the decision that I was entitled, I was worthy of respect, I was worthy of love. And I did that within. It all starts within. If you want to change how people are responding to you, change people, places, and things that are coming into your life, to change that, you have to change it from within. And you can do that multiple ways. I like the tantrum energy I just talked about. I also do it with journaling. Oh, journaling is a great way to release. If you key in on a pattern program from your childhood, go back. Do time travel, go back. And just feel it, go back. Go back. And I go back and I will talk to that little girl that was told she looked wrong and she wasn't pretty. And I tell her that she is beautiful and that she is perfect just the way she is. Time travel. Very powerful. That's one of the ways to do that, to heal. Tapping. ELP tapping, and there's many videos on YouTube on how to do the ELP tapping. I've had a lot of success using that to release negative energy, negative thoughts. Just being aware of all of this is the 90% of healing it. And then journaling it out the rest of the way, being aware of how people are responding to you and what else you need to heal, and know that you are worthy of it. You deserve it and you are worthy of it. And just try, experiment different things. We are in an interactive universe here, interactive simulation, dream, whatever you want to call it. And another good way to look at it is this is a movie. This is all a movie. We're the director. We wrote the script for everybody to follow. And that's all they're doing is following the script that we wrote for them. And what I'll do, this is another thing that I will do, is I will step out of my movie theater into the hallway, smell the popcorn, step out. That's being an observer. Step out, edit. Being aware, if things are not going the way that I prefer them to go, I step out and I edit my movie. I rewrite the script for everybody. That's very powerful too. And then I step back into my movie, and I have really changed things by doing that too. The first step is realizing, understanding that you create everything that's happening to you. You go out on that road and you get T-boned by a drunk driver. That was either a soul contract or that was something that you called in. You called in, and sometimes the universe, and I love this story a teacher told me, is she had a client that she wanted her family back in her life, but she didn't want to be the one to apologize and do all that. But she wanted to have a relationship again with her family. Okay, so they worked on the healing. Well, 2 weeks later, she's in a car accident. She's in the hospital for a couple of months, and she's really upset about this all happening, and Jess told her, wait for it, just wait for it. Well, when she had this accident, it was life-threatening. She was in serious condition. Well, what that did is that brought her family to the hospital, and they all reconciled. And then she got a $250,000 settlement because it wasn't her fault. Although she created it, she got the $250,000 that she wanted to start her business with. So she manifested what she wanted. But don't manifest an accident to get what you want. I wouldn't recommend that. But a negative is always a shortcut. When you start looking at if something does happen that feels negative to you, start looking at it, well, what's coming out of that? What's coming out of that? What do I need to heal? What have I learned from it? And what came out of that I have been trying to manifest? Yes. And it's good to have teachers. I've had several, but the most important thing, and that's what I'm going to end this video with, the most important thing is that you listen to you. Teacher I went through a year-long training program with. She calls it Me, Myself, and I. And that's your ego, your inner child, and your higher self. Because you've got all three of these aspects of you. And it's real important to go within and to listen to yourself. Eyes on your own paper. She always said eyes on your own paper too. Focus on you. Don't be worried about what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is saying. Things are a little crazy out there in the world right now. The crazier it gets, the more I spend out on the hiking trails. But go within. Go within and listen to yourself. And remember, you create your reality. And it doesn't matter if the rest of the world is on fire. You can create a bubble of your own happiness, what you want and how you want it. Listen to you. Listen to you. Let the inner child lead. Very important to play. That's probably also one of the most important things to do is to play. Whatever that is for you. And include your ego, because ego was created through your trauma in your childhood and other traumas. And ego is just there to protect you. So start giving your ego new jobs to do, so it doesn't hold you back. And connect with your higher self. Do all three. But the most important thing is that you listen to yourself. Use your own GPS internal guidance system. We all have it. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in what everybody else has to say. And it's okay to listen to, have teachers and listen to other people, but at the end of the day, does it resonate with you? Use that as a check-in point. Does that resonate with you? Does that work for you? And if it does, then adopt it. If it doesn't, throw it out. But take responsibility for everything that's happening in your life. And once you do that, that's when the power comes in to manifest. And everybody, have a good day.